I'm back, and I said I'll do one more practice on those complicated areas. But how about I just do it as a practice quiz, and then you can pause the video, give it a shot, and then continue following. However, I do have to add, on this particular example, we do have to shuffle, but we have to make sure all the 3s are with the 3s and all the 4s are with the 4s. It's not going to be the last swap. Like I said, you don't even need to think about where you're going to switch. Just make sure when you're done, all 3s are 3s, 4s are with the 4s. Does that make sense? Okay, you will see it. If you got it wrong, it's okay. You have to get it wrong for you to remember something, okay? So just follow along, and the example we're going to do is, all right, so let's do bromine, okay? All right, and if I go to the periodic table and find the atomic number for bromine, which is Br, it is 35, okay? So let's go and write 35, and we know this is the atomic number, right? Good. All right, so what does that tell us if the atomic number is 35? That means we got 35 protons and 35 electrons. And I have repeatedly said, since we have at least started doing these sequences, is that we're only focusing on the electrons because it's what contributes the shell that goes around the nucleus, right? So we have 35 electrons. So bromine is in the 4th row in the p band. That means we got to get through everything in front of it in the sequence. So it's 1s, 2s, 2p, 3s, 3p, 4s, and 3d, and 4p. Okay. Now this is where I would say stop, pause the video, okay, and then continue watching it and see if you've got the corrected sequence. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video now. All right, assuming you've paused the video and you've done your work, now you continue to watch my video. Here's what you should have had. All right, let me go back and get a different color for the electrons themselves. So I'm going to get the red, maybe the darkest red. All right, so we got 35, so we got to add 2, 2, 6, 2, 6, 2, 10, because D can hold 10. All right, now we do the math. So it's 2 plus 2 plus 6 plus 2 plus 6 plus 2 plus 10. I think that adds up to 30 electrons. But we need 35. So we need 5 more electrons to get to the target of 35 electrons. So how much do we add here? 5. Very good. Got that right. But you notice that the reason I particularly picked this particular row with BR is because in the last case where we did look at the ones with the D, we just did the last swap because that was easy, because there was not that 4p hanging around. Okay, that's why I said earlier before as I was beginning this video, is don't worry about the swap, but just make sure when you have this situation, if you just flip the last two, you will still have some uncomfortable situation there. So what I want you to do is align the 3s with 3s. This is not S, this is 3s plural, and 4s with 4s. That should always be the case. Everything should be with their own family. Okay, 4s, 3s with the 3s, and 4s with the 4s. Okay, this is not S. You see that little. So if I were to go back and redraw this using maybe an orange color, okay, guess I'll pick the orange. Okay, so we don't want to do that simple swap that we did because of that extra 4p here. So all I'm going to do is wait till I get to, so essentially you're doing double swap. So 3p6, and I'm going to bring the 3d10 next to the 3p6, move the 4s to be in front of the 4p. Now this is a really difficult area to grasp, so let me spend some time to get another color, preferably a black. Okay, now this is not as straightforward, because what we have done is we have, instead of doing the last swap, we've essentially done this swap. What I'm saying here is whenever you have a final sequence, this is the final correct sequence, because everybody is with their family, right? You all studied biology and they have those genes and species and stuff. You know, we put the species together in the particular species family. I'm ranting now, but anyways, we did do a swap, but we didn't just do the last swap, because I would still leave the 4s with the 4p, but it would still not be correct. So that's why I said this particular thing in bracket. If you run into that 4p, which poses an extra complication, you just make sure that when you're done, the 3s are with the 3s and the 4s are with the 4s. You see right here, the 3s are with the 3s and the 4s are with the 4s. The 4p is with the 4s and the 3d is back with its family. Now this is the final correct sequence. Okay, so if you notice, let me delete. Okay, we started with the periodic table. Okay, periodic table. From there we went to talk about atom. And what did we talk about in periodic table? Let's get the red. Okay, periodic table, we talked about, let me get the eraser, the pen back. In the periodic table, we talked about how elements were sorted by atomic number, which is what Mendeleev designed it, right? And then we went to atom and we dissected the atom, okay, based on the atomic number. You see where you see the relationship directly. Let me get a blue. You see atomic number was discussed here, and then it went to atom, but then again we're tying this concept back, right? And what did we learn as part of the atomic number? Let me get the red back. Oops. Okay, let me get my pen back and let me get my red again. So atomic number, we talked about protons, electrons and neutrons, okay, and how we got all of those information, how many each of it is based on the atomic number, right? But then we also talked addition and atomic mass. Keep in mind, that's what helped us get to our number of neutrons. And what do we do after that? We went to, let me erase it. Okay, let me get my red back. Okay, but I guess I will get the black because I want the sequence to be all in one color. So, and then we talked about orbitals. Okay, now this is where we talked about how electrons are spread across. Again, all of these right here, if I can complete it. All right, let me go get my blue. You see this? we discussed about S, P, D, and F, and the shells, which are the SPDF, and how without knowing all this, we would not really be lost if we just carried over here, right? And then the final phase is, okay, electron configuration, right? And then what did we talk about it there? Well, we talked about the sequence, right? Right? We talked about the sequence, right? The 1s, 2s, etc. Here we learned our orbital from more of a diagrammatic perspective, but then here we went and learned it. But again, let's go get our blue. Now, if you don't have a concrete understanding of the orbitals themselves and why it's important and what does the orbitals themselves contain, our proton, electrons, or neutrons, now this concept is tied in here, and this, all of this knowledge is tied back here, and this is tied back to this. You see how complex chemistry is? And part of the reason why sometimes people struggle is they can't see these connections. Okay, I'm not going to ask you a question out of this on a quiz or a test, but if I set a concept map up front and I said I'm following the concept map, I think it's my purpose to come back and tie everything that we have learned, right? So this is kind of where our first week material is partly over. I'm going to upload a few more videos for week 1 because we're technically not done with week 1 yet. It seemed like a lot of videos, but it's actually, I have broken it down into several pieces, so it's easy for you to manage. I could have made it into 3 or 4 large videos, but then that will be a lot of material for you to watch in one go. I don't want to make it more than 10 minutes for a video. That way you can manage it in small pieces. Okay, that's what's called a quantum in chemistry, which also something we might learn down the road. Means in pieces. That's quantum. Okay. Anyway, so that's part of the first set of sequences of videos. And I'm going to upload all this as a YouTube video back into week 1's primary resources shell, and then I will add a couple more videos to wrap up week 1. Now again, all this will be uploaded before school starts on the 21st, probably late Sunday evening, because I have to proofread, make any final edits to the video before it can be uploaded to the web. Alright, so that's pretty much for the sequence of these videos. I got a couple more sequence that is pending for week 1. I will upload them, and then I think we'll go from there. Alright, stay tuned.